With Summer League in the books, we've officially had our first look at the Raptors' first-round pick in the most recent NBA draft in Collin Murray-Boyles. So, was he impressive? Did he leave a bit to be desired? What should we expect in the NBA? Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. This is Amateur Sports. It is a YouTube channel that is completely dedicated to giving you Toronto Raptors content in videos like this and live streams on the channel. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this one along the way. Subscribe for more content just like it. Today, we're focusing on Collin Murray-Boyles. In the previous video we did, I looked at Summer League as a whole and did a recap of Summer League as a whole, but I really want to dig in specifically to what we saw from the 9th overall pick from the 2025 NBA entry draft in Collin Murray-Boyles. Bit of a polarizing player when it came to the selection. Some Raptors fans were surprised, including myself. I wasn't expecting him to go 9th overall to the Raptors, but I completely understand why the Raptors did make that selection. Some people liked it right away. Some people, maybe it took them a little bit to start to like it. Some people didn't like it, came around. Some people still don't really like this pick. But what exactly did we see from Collin Murray-Boyles in his 4 games at Summer League? He missed the first game of Summer League due to an injury, but again, 4 games was a pretty good sample size to see Collin Murray-Boyles in action. Here are the statistics that he produced in those 4 games. He averaged 10.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.8 steal, did also average a block per game, showcase some good stuff defensively, which we'll dig into over the course of this video. Also, efficiency, 57.1% from the field, 22.2% from 3. So obviously, the field goal percentage, the 3-point percentage leaves a little bit to be desired. Wasn't super afraid of taking on threes most of the time. If he got a catch and shoot opportunity on the perimeter, he would just go ahead and take it. There was like maybe 1 or 2 moments where he decided to pass it off after a pump fake. Okay, you know, 3-pointers aren't his game, but it's good for him to work on that. I wanted him to shoot. If he was open, I wanted him to shoot because this is something that we clearly want to develop for the player. This is something that we clearly want to see enhanced by the player. But before we go into all of the offense, let's dig into that defense right away because it was very evident to myself and I think to anybody who watched Summer League, Collin Murray-Boyles is a good defender. Not only is he a super long athlete with big hands, he is an intelligent and talented defender. He occupies so much space using his lengths and gets in those passing lanes so effectively. The amount of deflections that we saw from him, I don't think the 1.8 steals per game and the 1 block per game do him justice because there were so many additional deflections and so many additional plays that he disrupted. If he was tasked with defending on the perimeter, he would almost suffocate you at times on the outside. It would be difficult to get a pass off. If he was a help defender on the interior, he was able to time that movement so well to get in your way, to block shots, to get up and disrupt your shot. Like I remember a play where he got up and made a high-flying block, ran down the other end of the court, and got the ball for a high-flying dunk. Clearly an athlete and clearly a very talented defender, whether that's on ball or whether that's off ball. That was really the driving force of talent that made Masai Ujiri, when he was still with the team, and Bobby Webster, current Raptors general manager. This is what made them excited about this player, and this is why they wanted to draft him. They weren't very fearful of the lack of a 3-point shot. I mean, maybe they were, but the Raptors in the past have gambled on these two-way athletic players who are very good defensively, and the Raptors, again, have bet on themselves and their development team to work on that player's shooting and get it up to the NBA level. Prime example is Pascal Siakam, this stringy athlete. They bet on themselves to develop him. They bet on themselves to get him a 3-point shot suitable for the NBA. And there's a little bit of other examples sprinkled in there as well for the team. But this has been a consistent winning bet for the Raptors. Not always a winner, but a consistent winning maneuver for the Raptors to take on in the draft. That is why they were excited about the player. Now, let's shift to the offensive side of the ball again. This is where we had maybe a little bit more concerns, where he's not as assured as a prospect. On the perimeter, as I touched on, there is still work that needs to be done. The release didn't look quite as awkward as I thought it would look. So it seems like there is some work that is already being put in that respect to help elevate his game. We know with a player like this, with the defensive capabilities that he has, we know he's got a bit of an interior game, which we'll touch on in this video as well. What is going to separate him and get him to the next level is either developing that 3-point shot or getting a little bit sharper in the half court as an offensive creator. One of those two things makes him a great player. Both of them, wow, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. There was one really good game from Summer League for Collin Murray-Boyles where he put up 20 points. And that was the game, Raptors' fourth game, his third game. That was the game where they really made a point to get him involved offensively. From the first couple of games he played, it wasn't that he wasn't doing a lot. It just, I felt like he wasn't getting a lot of opportunities to score. Was that the team not getting him the ball? Was that Collin Murray-Boyles just not, being that sort of guy to take a hold of a game and get the ball and create his own shot? Was it a little bit of both? I'm not so sure. But the questions I had were very much answered in that fourth game because from the jump, it was very clearly part of the game plan and a point made by the coaching and head coach James Wade to get Murray-Boyles involved a lot and get him on the ball a lot. And what we saw was honestly pretty impressive. When he was able to get the ball in the perimeter and get downhill and fight his way to the rim, he was a difficult player to manage and a difficult player to stop. We kind of knew this from his scouting going into the draft and after the draft that he uses his size very well in conjunction with his athleticism to get good looks on the interior. That led to, again, a pretty good field goal percentage of 57%. Important to note, he's not taking a ton of threes per game, and a lot of these shots are coming right at the rim. So as much as 57% field percentage looks good, it could still stand to be better with a little bit of fine-tuning on the efficiency. Because again, a lot of these shots are coming right at the rim for the player. But in those moments when he did have to take on this duty of creating himself a shot, manufacturing a move to the rim in the half court, there was impressive signs. I'm a little bit upset that we only really got a fair glimpse of that in just one of the Summer League games. It was that fourth game of Summer League, his third game. Again, we didn't see a lot of that in the semifinal against the Sacramento Kings for whatever reason. Still had a quality game where he was contributing and everything. Maybe there's just more talented players offensively like Jacoby Walter, AJ Lawson, who needed the ball a little bit more. So, that could be part of the reason we didn't get a larger sample size. But again, I really felt that when he was provided the opportunity to create, we got good glimpses. Just wish we got a little bit more to have further proof of that. So offensively, I think that it's about what I expected from a half-court standpoint in creating shot. His three-point shot, even though it was only 22.2%, I feel like there was a good foundation there to work with going forward. That's not going to be a three-point shot that's going to be contributing in the NBA right away. He's definitely something that's likely going to be ignored in the perimeter. Who knows? A lot can change in a few months going into the season. That's just not something to me that's going to be realistic to happen for the NBA. But what can he bring to the NBA? Like what from what we saw there is going to be able to keep him on the court in the NBA? Defensively, he's very sound, and I think that he's ready to play a part with the bench on defense in the NBA, like right away. He's got the capabilities there. He's got the instincts there. His positioning is fantastic off ball, like I said. His on-ball play is great as well. I think he can play a variety of positions where he can play on the perimeter as more of a forward, but I also would like to see maybe some chances for him to play as maybe a small ball five. That was something else we didn't really get from Summer League. The Raptors really prioritized keeping a big on the floor, whether it was Mobo, Shamshay, or Colin Castleton. I wanted to see a little bit more of small ball lines with Murray-Boyles at 5. Like maybe we saw like tiny little pockets of that, not really enough of it. But I still think we might see some of that in the NBA. Not the tallest guy, a little bit undersized maybe to play in that position, but he makes up for it with his positioning, with his strength, his size, and his timing for those blocks. I think the defense is pretty sound for the NBA. Offensively is where I'm going to have a little bit of worries out the gate. Again, I think on the perimeter, he's likely going to get ignored. And as far as the interior game, again, 57% is good. But when you're taking every shot pretty much right at the rim, or most of your shots right at the rim, you do want that number to start to creep up a little bit higher. And when he's starting to play against bigger, stronger players in the NBA, an NBA that is starting to become a little bit more traditional big-centric. In fact, a lot of teams starting to pivot to having two bigs on the floor at once. Like, we had an era of small ball with no bigs on the floor. Now we're in a very big era, at least starting to creep into it, where there's two bigs on the floor at once. Now he's having to compete with these players on the interior and get his looks there. I'm just wondering if this skill set will be able to translate into the NBA offensively right away. We shall see. A lot of it can come from the distractions that other players in the court will provide. if he's in and among some of the starting players in the team, he seems to be a pretty solid cutter and getting himself space for a pass on the inside. But I think that with the competitiveness showcasing right now for the Raptors, there is a distinct possibility we see Collin Murray-Boyles maybe get a few games in the NBA to see what he's like, but then spend some time in the G League, which is okay. Grady Dick did it as the 13th overall pick, and it benefited him greatly. He came back into the NBA as a much better player and really kicked on in year 2. Jacoby Walter in his rookie season, it was brief, but did spend a very brief amount of time in the G League with the Raptors 9-5, build up that confidence, and it probably helped him in his NBA journey. We could see the same for Collin Murray-Boyles. That doesn't make him a bad pick. That doesn't make him a bad player. It could just be there's competition for the backup spots in the Raptors right now. We want this player to get on the ball as much as possible. Take some time there. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he kicks on the NBA and is just part of the regular rotation out the gate. There are a lot of different ways it could go. Defensively, I don't see it being a problem for him. Offensively is where more work does need to be put in. At this present point where he is right now, I think G League would benefit him. But again, we got 3 months of work. Let's get to it. Hopefully he's in the lab. I imagine he is. He seems to be a very hard worker. I'm excited to see him in the NBA. And we'll just have to wait and see if he can crack that regular rotation. But as far as rotation is concerned, we'll have to save my true prediction for that for a later video. Make sure you stick around on Amateur Sports.